Okay, let's discuss more about collections. So what is the need of collection and why Java has created this collections package? Okay, and how we are going to get some benefit from collection in our Selenium examples that we are going to discuss. So collection, as the name suggests, basically it's a collection of data. Like we have already seen in case of arrays, we used to have the similar data stored in a memory location which we can access using the index, right? Similarly, there are different ways of putting multiple things together into a single reference. That's what the collection is. So there are two most important collections which we are going to use in our Selenium classes. The first one is a list and the second one is a map. Or some people might have heard of dictionaries in which we have the key and values. So we're going to talk about list and maps. So let's first focus on list and how the list is going to help us. So I'm going to create a new Java project. Let's call it collection examples. Within that Java class project, we're going to create a new class com.example.collections list example. So this is the first class list example which we are going to see how it is going to help. We have created a main method. Within this, let me first tell you what are the problems with array and why list is going to overcome those challenges, those problems. Suppose I want to store some integer values, some integer array of marks equal to new integer array, and we can assign the values directly 1 comma suppose 10 comma 23 comma 16 comma 34. Fine, 4 values we have stored, right? This is an array of integers. Now this array is having size 4. Suppose I want to print the value marks 3. This is the last element in the array, right? Suppose I want to run this code. Now when I run this, it is saying the value, it is printing the value. Suppose I want to add two values, integer sum equal to, I want to add the first and second value. So I'm going to use marks of 0, that refers to the first value, and marks of 1. And I want to print the value like sum is plus sum. See, now we have written the sum is 33. Fine, this is how basically we access the array, and if you want to update the value in the array, then what we will do, marks of 3 equals to, say for example, some value 22. Now we have updated the value, sys out. Now going to sys out marks of 3. Great. See, initially the value of third index, that is the fourth element in the array, was 34. Now I have updated the value, it is 22. The thing is that I wanted to access the array, but I always limit myself within 0th index, 1 index, 2 index and 3 index. I cannot go beyond that. Understood? If I try to access the value marks of index 4, which is basically not present in the array, it is 0, 1, 2 and 3. So there is nothing specified over here which says that there is a 4th index value over here. So if I try to access this location, it is not good in Java. So it is going to throw some exception, right? So this is the third element, and I am trying to print the the fourth index value. Fine. So I want to run this code. So when I try to run this code, it says that the 4th index value is 20. Okay, this is 4. Fine. So I'm trying to access something which is beyond the scope or beyond the boundary of the array. So when I try to do that, it is going to give me some exception. It says that Java lang array index out of bounds exception. So it says that this 4th index is out of the boundary of the array. So we're going to get that error. So once we have initialized the array, we cannot change the size. If we try to change the size, we cannot change the size. If we try to change the size, it's going to create a new array altogether. So dynamically changing the size or adding the value into the array is difficult. like I have assigned the value marks of 3 some value. If I try to assign marks of 5 or 6, this index does not exist in the array. So we're going to get some error at line number 14. Run as Java application. You can see we have got the error array index out of bounds exception at for index 6, and this exception has happened at line number 14. Fine. So this is what problem we have with the general arrays. Now what we are going to do, we are going to overcome that problem. We are going to use an array list or a list. So Java collection has this list interface. If you use control space, it will tell you there are like java.util. Don't go for awt, this is the java.util. Okay, it says this is an ordered collection. Okay, Java documentation says this is an ordered collection. So Java util.list is the first collection that we are going to talk about. Now there are two brackets and e. What does it mean? It says that this list can contain only a single type of data. Like in case of arrays, we stored integers. So this list is going to store some values. So let's do one thing. Let's store some string values in the list, and let's call it names equal to. And as I have already told you, this list is an interface. You go there, you can see this icon, right? This is an interface. So we cannot create an object of interface. We need to create the object so that we can put some values. So we cannot store the values within, we cannot create the list object directly because it's an interface. So there are some implementations of this list. Okay, this list interface is having some implementation that we can use to create the object. So to create the object, we need to call the constructor new, then the constructor. Over here, I am not going to call a new list. Rather than that, I am going to call one implementation of this list that is called as ArrayList. This is a class. ArrayList is a class, and I am going to call the constructor. You can see when I press control space, it says a java.util.arraylist. So you can call the constructor like this. Okay. Now I have created a list. The reference name or the name is names, and it is pointing to a newly created array list. And I want to store only integer, only strings within that array list. So I am going to define it as string. Okay. Now we have a list, and you can see I have never specified any size for that list. Okay. Suppose I want to add some values, names dot. I want to add some value to the list. So I am going to call the method add, A-D-D. Automatically it asks for a string value. So I am going to add the string value. Fine. Now the list size is 1. See, we have never said the list to be of this much specific amount of size, but the size is automatically allocated. Before adding this name, if we try to print the size of list, names is the list, dot size is the method. So you can see there is a method size. Java has created the methods for our use. All the methods that are needed, they are already created, right? So I have tried to print the size of list. So let's say the size, and it is going to print the size. Initially it doesn't have any size, so it should tell it is 0 size. Then I added one element. Again, let's print the size of list. After that, I am going to print the size again. So this is before size, and after adding element, what is the size? Now we have added one element to list, and it should print the size is 1. Right click, run as Java application, and let's look at the before adding the element the size was 0. Now after adding the element the size is 1. Similarly, we can keep adding more elements into the list. Okay, as many numbers as we want. Okay, so let's add some more elements. Now we have added some elements. The size of list was 1, now it became 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now the list size should be 7. After adding elements, it should tell adding 6 elements, the size is something, which is it is going to tell. Right click, run as Java application. Now see, after adding 6 elements, the size of list has become 7. So if I try to access a specific element, this is the fourth element which I have added. Is the first element, second, third and fourth. To access the fourth element from the list, we are going to use the same index way of accessing. Fourth element from list is names dot, I want to get that value, so I'm going to call list dot get method. So when you look at this get method, it asks for the index value, and the index should always be greater than 0. If it is less than 0, it is going to throw the exception, index out of bounds exception. Or if you are trying to access the element which is greater than the size, it is going to throw index out of bounds exception. Fine. So let's get the element that is at the third index or the fourth element. Save, and it is going to tell us the value. Right click, run as. Okay. It says fourth element from list is Sanya. This 0, 1, 2 and 3. This is the fourth element. Fine. Suppose I want to add some element. Suppose I don't have this one. Okay, Devajyoti is not there. Okay, it is not there. So after adding 5 elements, it is going to give me 6 elements are present, and at index 3 it is going to print Sanya. This is the command. Suppose I wanted to add one more element just after Sanya. Over here I want to add the element. Okay, but I have missed to add them. Okay, so after okay, say for example I want to add the element just after Avinash. Okay, so Avinash, this one is at 0th index, Avinash is added to first index, so I am going to add the element at third index over here, right? So what I am going to do, I am going to call the names dot add, and you can say there is one overloaded method. This add method, it takes one element, so it adds the element to the end of list. When I try to add the element in between, so I should give the index value. Okay, suppose I want to add it at index 3, then I am going to give index 3 and the value that I want to add. Fine. So I want to add the element at index 3. So the earlier third index value was Assis. Now I am going to add at index 3 and the value is going to be some value. Now I have added the element, and after that the list size will automatically increase to +1, that is 7, and the element, subsequent elements are going to be moved one index ahead. Okay, so let me do this thing. Just after adding it is going to be names dot size. Fine. After that, if I want to print the fourth element from list, earlier it used to be Sanya, now the fourth element has changed. Third element over here, the third element will be Devajyoti, and the fourth element is Assis. So now I am going to get Assis after that. Fourth element from list is going to be different. Right click, run as Java application. So before the size was 0, then after adding the element the size is 1, after adding 5 elements the size is 6. Fourth element from list is Sanya. Then I added one more element in between. Size of the list after adding Devajyoti is 7, and fourth element from the list is Devajyoti. So I am adding the element at index 3. Okay, this is the index 3. So this is 0th index, 1 index, 2 index, and this is 3 index. So I am adding over here. I am trying to add over here. So this element, it will go down. Understood? So the elements which are already present at index 3 will become 4, index 4 will become 5, index 5 will become 6. Okay, we have covered 3 methods. One is to add the element into the list, and adding the element to a specific location, and subsequent elements will be shifted one space ahead. And if you want to get the element at a particular index, we can use the get method. Okay, suppose I want to remove something from the list. I want to remove something from the list. Suppose I want to remove this element, or I want to remove the first element. So I can use the index to remove the element, names dot remove. Okay, there are some overridden methods, so I am going to remove at index 0. So the element is going to be removed. After that, size of element is going to be different, and fourth element is also going to be different. Okay, so I have removed the first element. Now this element is gone from the list, and the list size is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over here I have added one more element, that is 6. Okay, the first index, this is going to be the first element, this is the second element, and the third element is going to be the devices. So let's run the code. Now the fourth element, you see over here, the fourth element was Sanya. Then I added one more element. Sanya has shifted forward. The fourth index is Devajyoti. Then I removed one element, and the elements are shifted backward. Again, the size of the list is Sanya. So size of the list after removing first element. Okay. So at any point of time, if I want to print the list, I can use the sysout name of the list names. So if you run this code, it is going to print in a format, list format. Okay, this is the list contents. Okay, this is the content of the list. Okay, anyone having any doubt in list? No doubts? Okay. List is an interface. If you want to look at the list interface, you can control and click on this. It will open up and see this is basically in the Java. So the documentation is over there. So there will be many methods. So as we have already seen list.get and all. So press Ctrl and O. It will list all the methods present in the list interface. We are interested in list.size. So we can go to this method. We can see what is there, or we can go to list.add. This thing we have seen. So this is something which is called a generics in Java, writing the E, and like basically when we try to create the list, you can see when we try to create the list, we are giving a type, list of strings or array list of strings. Then this thing is called generics in Java. So we have the list is the interface, and the class is array list. We have created the object of array list, and this is the list. So list is clear. I'll send you some of the questions regarding list, and if possible, just go back to your code and try to like convert the code in which you had some arrays to store the data. Now try to store the data using list, okay, or array list. So the difference between array and array list is the size of array list, it automatically grows, okay, but in case of array the size is fixed. Once you give the size, it is fixed and it cannot be changed. And array list, it doesn't have methods to add the element or add the element at a particular index or remove the element. So these methods are available within this list interface or the array list class. So this is the benefit which we get from array list, not within the list, not within the array.
So can we tell this as a dynamic array?
Yeah, this is a dynamic array. We can tell. It's not an issue.
But whatever the operation we are doing on array,
Mm-hmm.
so for example, two array of same length is there, we can add each and every element, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like one array. Here also we can do the same, right?
Yes, you can do the same thing. You can. I have already told you. You can always use the control and space. It will list you all the methods that are available. So I'm talking about add method. So over here you can see add all. There is a collection of elements. So any other list of string, any other list of string can be added to this list. Okay, create two different lists and try to add one list to the another list, then try to sys out the earlier list. It will print you the data. Okay. Okay, seems like we have already we have seen that there are many methods available within this list and array list. We cannot cover them all, but these are the most important ones which we have seen right now. We are going to use them in our Selenium classes. Once we start Selenium, we are going to use these methods. So any other doubt if you have about list, we can discuss them separately.